The whole history, my personal history, my family history, and my organization history after 2005 is related with surveillance. From that period, that I knew that we knew that our telephone has been continuously surveyed, that we behaved accordingly. That knowing that somebody is hearing, when you talk to a friend, you know that somebody is hearing. When you write an email, you suspect that somebody might have read it, and that somebody is not a friendly person, and that somebody is a person that wants to hunt you down. Year by year, the degree and the intensity was increasing, and it was unbearable at a certain point, and we were forced to leave the country. We came to United Kingdom, and in the United Kingdom the feeling was totally different. I felt that I'm in a safe place, and I started to actively participate in education part and trying to talk about democratic institutions in Ethiopia. And I also started to continue to participate in politics in Gumbot 7. Therefore, I felt that I am safe. Not only felt, I was almost certainly sure, but I was wrong.
Surveillance may have a myriad of different harms or psychological impact that might be difficult for the individual to spot and also to articulate. If you're under surveillance, it's very likely that there are a number of stressful things and that it is not top of your list of the factors that are causing you immediate concern and immediate threat. However, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have an impact. Often these things are background, they're constant, they're all the time, and they have a way of sort of chipping away at our confidence, chipping away at our anxiety. You could think of things in terms of the impact on the individual, the impact on the group, the small group in which they operate, and the impact on the wider society.
At a certain point, sometime in 2013, we started to find out that some of the things that we discussed among a small circle, the executive committee consists of only seven persons. We know each other very well, and we trust each other very, very strongly. And that trust is not built simply. It has been under strong danger because we get finding some of the elements that we have been discussing somewhere in open media and in unfriendly medias of the Ethiopian government. You don't want to suspect your friend, but you have to.
When we can't talk about our fears is when these fears tend to elevate. And when they elevate, that's when paranoia can set in. And sometimes it's very difficult. Once paranoia is there, it's a very difficult thing to get rid of.
It didn't come to my mind how another country, an Ethiopian government, can use UK telecommunication to spy on me. We got the answer from totally unexpected area. And a certain group of people which goes to Citizen Lab, and they published a report, and in that report there was my photograph. That photograph was taken in London, and they used it to attach with the spyware and distribute among the Ethiopian community.
States have an array of tools open to them to target dissidents and target opponents. The tool that was used against Tedeschi is called FinFisher, and it's sold by Gamma International. And essentially it's a form of malware which allows a state to infect an individual's computer or phone, so they can see all correspondence or conversations that are being conducted via the computer or the phone.
This software can take over the whole control of the computer, and that it can switch on the camera and film what's going on in my house. And it feels that our house was under CCTV type of surveillance, and a continuous filming. And it was a shock to say to my wife. It was horrible. Not only that it is filmed, but filmed by whom?
There's a difference between the state spying on somebody, and individuals spying on somebody. And that, again, how that affects a person, I think, depends on the relationship with the state. It's the particulars of the individual circumstance which will determine how somebody's affected.
Well, it's a kind of a combination of feelings. The first one is anger. In Ethiopia, to some extent, you tolerate it because you know that this is a rule of the game in that country. And when I came in UK, there's a total liberation of that stress. I'm living in a free country, a safe country. But that safety was, it's a totally, a kind of when you have a certain hope and when it is smashed.
Not only would people who are being spied upon worry about some sort of invasion into their own privacy, but also the concern that they may be putting other people at risk as a result of being spied on.
I just try to scan people who were arrested after my departure. And there have been many people who have been arrested. I had a friend in Saudi Arabia who returned back to Ethiopia and arrested and sentenced 18 years. And I started to question, probably it was because of me. And he was the only person. There are many examples. Some of the examples are horrible examples. Even if I tell you, I don't know whether you can believe.
If you can never feel safe, then a person's kind of core level of being is to keep one's family and oneself safe, not to bring about change. The task changes with this level of surveillance. We
hardly use the way that we used to. We don't talk with relative degree of freedom. We restrain ourselves, we censor ourselves. It hampers, it hinders communication.
There hasn't been any research conducted to date that I'm aware of. I would imagine that it's very nuanced and that there would be a number of variables which would determine the type of harm. Equally, there'd be a number of variables which might determine some of the benefits and some of the resilience factors. But it's going to happen anyway if it can't be stopped. Then discovering what some of the resilience points are and some of the things that help people and some of the things that motivate people, it may be that we can build on those in order to lessen the personal or the psychological negative impact.
One of the advice that I give to myself and to my friends is that we should never give up. This can be also taken as a good opportunity to expose the region. Ethiopia is one of the poorest countries in the world. It's the highest illiteracy rate, something like 60% of the population is illiterate. Internet users in Ethiopia are less than 2%, something like 1.2% of the population. It is the lowest in the world. But they spend millions of dollars for Finny Fisher, for spying people like me who are trying to do a better future, to try to bring a better future to Ethiopia.
There are very few mechanisms, in fact, to control the global flow of these technologies. 10 or 15 years ago, it didn't even exist. And since then, it's grown to be an industry that's some value at around $10 billion. The issue is that it's an industry that operates in the shadows. It is difficult to put a hard figure on how much money this industry generates each year.
The ramifications, in fact, are huge. If everybody is feeling a sort of a slight increase of lack of safety, this can resonate out and resonate out and resonate out and have huge consequences for people's ability to try and bring about positive change.